Now we come to our final conversation for today. It seems the way things are going that we're about to see a peaceful settlement in Sudan. So finally, after over a year of, of fighting, of mass starvation, of mass reports of sexual violence, and really burning the country to the ground, it seems that Sudan is finally coming to a peace settlement. And this is instigated by the United States. So the first thing I want to mention is that the two armies are clearly exhausted. They've been fighting for over a year. And remember that neither of this army is is a military power, right? So many of their weapons and their sustenance is coming from outsiders. Like in the case of the RSF now, we have numerous reports showing us that the RSF is supported the um, by the United Arab Emirates. So the UAE is giving the RSF weapons and money and the rest of them through channels within the continent. That's in the case of the RSF. So by now they are exhausted and they're tired. So the US is now pushing for a ceasefire. So it was supposed to be in Switzerland on the 14th of August, but I don't know if it's still going to go as planned. But it's supposed to be in Switzerland. Remember that a few weeks ago, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia visited Sudan. And I'm suspecting that he visited Sudan to tell the army headed by Barum, I believe that's Burum. I don't know the pronunciation of his name, but I'll put it on the screen. So headed by him, it, I suspect that he went to give this American suggestion to the army in Sudan so that they can consider a ceasefire because they've several times they've had the ceasefire talks, but then it's either the RSF will break the ceasefire that they agreed to, or the Sudanese military will break the ceasefire that they agreed to. So this has been on and off, on and off, on and off. So finally, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia visited to have conversation with him on that. Interestingly, I remember when I started this show newly some weeks ago, I mentioned that I saw that in a Romanian media outlet, military linked media outlet, and they were saying that the United States wanted to work with Ethiopia to send mercenaries to help the RSF fight. On this show you can I don't know you can go back to check, but on this show I mentioned it, and so maybe this is one of the things that he can go to say, see all the things that are going on. It's in your interest at this point to negotiate a lasting ceasefire instead of your people to be dying like this. Now, I don't know the outcome of that meeting. I don't know how the military head in Sudan responded to that meeting. I'm suspecting that he wasn't so welcoming to the whole ceasefire agreement thing because he came out to use, he still came out to say, oh, we are still going to fight. We'll fight until we get rid of these people, blah, 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 blah. All those normal rhetoric. So the next thing that I saw, like a few weeks later, there was an assassination attempt on his life during a military parade. He survived it. Now, I don't know if that assassination attempt was supposed to remove him to bring in someone else who will be more open to having a peaceful, who will be more open to peace in Sudan. I don't know if that was the purpose of that, but I know there was an assassination attempt on his life, and then he survived it. In fact, that's why I started this episode by saying, sorry, this segment by saying, I don't know if the initial peace conversation that was supposed to happen in Switzerland on the 14th of August, if it were to still hold, because that was agreed to, at least the talks was agreed to before someone tried to kill him. But anyway, there's something I want to mention over the past several months, maybe like several months here, over the past several months, it seems like the RSF is making gains. This same RSF, it seems like they're making gains. I believe there was a time that I saw a news story that they had um, taken control of the Blue Nile. Now, that Blue Nile is a river that cuts from Ethiopia into Sudan. Interesting. So even now that the RSF is in control of the Blue Nile, that's an option to be able to send supply to the RSF. So the RSF is in control of the Blue Nile. I've also seen several reports of instances where the Sudanese army is surrounded by the RSF or almost surrounded by the RSF or even completely cut off from all communication lines. So they are surrounded, no communication, and they are slaughtered. I've seen several things like this. So if I put all these bits and pieces together, it's looking to me like the military, the Sudanese military, is not does not have a good hand to play. Does not have a good hand to play. So even if maybe this is why Barum, that's the head of the military, maybe this is the reason why he's stalling negotiations because he's going into a negotiation with a losing hand. The RSF is going with a winning hand. And remember, the backers of the because now the RSF is really just a paramilitary group. They can say, okay, fine, you will be over. Then they give the head of the RSF money and he can just retire somewhere, maybe one Caribbean island or somewhere in Europe or something. So he can easily do any of those things. Well, so the thing that is now making me really think is here's where the government of Sudan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. You go into negotiations with a losing hand. Your troops are surrounded. You have lost critical supply networks. You have some of your troops have been completely cut off from communication. You can't reach them. Then, meanwhile, the RSF is doing is recording significant gains. That's one thing. So on the other hand, if he says let him continue fighting, his people are dying. I saw was it Amnesty International or one of these human rights agencies released a report recently, maybe towards the ending of July, released a report about the people of Sudan are suffering, about the mass sexual assault going on in Sudan. That even in one instance, was it a 9-year-old child that was sexually assaulted and she died on the spot. So you see stories like this. You know the situation in Sudan is not good. Even the United Nations recently came out to say that Sudan is about to experience one of the greatest famines in the world. The people are hungry. So your people are being slaughtered. Your people are hungry. Your country has been burnt to the ground. You are losing the war on one hand. But if you say, okay, let me fight to get more territory, at least to get a winning hand, your people are dying on the other hand. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what is the Sudanese government supposed to do about it? I really don't know. I really don't know. But I cannot encourage them to keep fighting. I can't because if you encourage them to keep fighting, the people of Sudan, my business is the people of Sudan. My business is the people of Sudan because even this, if you keep fighting, more lives will be lost, more destruction will occur. So as more lives are lost, more destruction occurs. Then imagine how much more money you will need to rebuild Sudan. You go and take IMF loan that all of us in Africa are complaining about. You want to go and take IMF loan? You see why I say there's no winning this thing for Sudan. There's no winning this thing. At all, there's no winning this thing. If I'm to say, I would say the government of Sudan should please go to the negotiating table and end this thing before it gets worse. Because if the United States, if the UAE keeps funding the RSF, keeps giving the RSF weapons with players within Africa. Don't forget that countries like Libya, countries like Uganda were mentioned in that report. I told you that when I spoke about it initially, that I saw in Middle Eastern Eye. I saw it in that publication. If the UAE keeps supporting the RSF like this, so that means the RSF has weapons, the RSF has access to money. If the other report I told you I saw in Romanian Times is true, and the Ethiopian government would send mercenaries to fight with the RSF, meaning that the RSF still has endless source of soldiers. That means the situation is likely to get worse and worse and worse for the government of Sudan. So it's better to end it now before it gets worse. That's what I'm advocating for the sake of your people. Because if it gets worse, you will need more money to rebuild. You will need more of your people will die. More hunger will take place. More people with psychological trauma, from whether it's from the soldiers who are fighting, or whether it's from the effects of war, or whether it's even from the reports of sexual abuse we are seeing. Do you understand? So there's no winning this thing for Sudan. It's so painful because a lot of people have died for nothing. People have died for nothing. There's no winning this war for Sudan. Really, there's really no way to win it. What I'm now wondering is when he finally goes to the negotiating table, I wonder the concessions they will take from him. Because when you have lost, you are going to negotiate with a losing hand. The people will milk. And when I mean the people, I don't mean the RSF. Like I said, The head of the RSF will retire somewhere else, not in Africa. He will go to maybe one Caribbean island or somewhere in the West, just to chill. He's not going to retire here. He's not. So he retires somewhere with a lot of money. The concessions he will get that the government of Sudan will give will be given to those who were supporting the RSF. Africa. This is why I've said over and over again, war is not in our interest. Because as it stands now, we don't have a formidable military in any African country that can be able to stand up to any threats. We don't have anything. So if we ever go to war in any African country, this is the way to go. Like this thing we are seeing is the way to go. You're going to get significant concessions from those who are backing the RSF. Who knows? Would they give them ports? Who knows? Would they have to agree for military bases to be set up in Sudan? Who knows? War is not in our interest. As Africans, war is not in our interest. Let me know what you think about this development in Sudan. Let me know in the comment section below. I am more interested in peace so that the people of Sudan, stop dying. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends so that we can reach more people and this message can get to a wider audience as we come together to build our amazing continent.